silent thief in your California rental portfolio, picking your pocket for thousands every year. You might not see it, but it's there, embedded in the very document designed to protect you, your lease agreement. A single missing clause or one drafted incorrectly is forcing you to pay for repairs and maintenance that California law explicitly allows your tenants to cover. This isn't theoretical. The average self-managing landlord loses over $8,400 annually before they even realize the money is gone. This isn't about being cheap, it's about stopping a preventable bleed. You're losing money on minor repairs and routine maintenance because your lease isn't built to leverage California's legal framework. Think about the small stuff: clogged drains, dirty HVAC filters, pest control for common household invaders, even basic appliance care like cleaning oven drip pans. You pay for these, right? Often, you send a handyman who charges you $75 just for showing up plus parts. That $30 filter replacement becomes $120. The minor drain clog, a $15 chemical solution, becomes a $150 plumbing call. These seemingly insignificant costs accumulate rapidly. Consider a landlord with 4 units. Each unit typically needs at least 2 HVAC filter changes per year at $20 a filter. That's $160 in materials. But add the time and travel, and that's easily $300 to $400 you're spending. A clogged drain once a year per unit, another $400 to $600. Pest prevention for ants or spiders twice a year, another $300 to $500. Small appliance upkeep, light bulb replacements in tenant-accessible fixtures, even yard waste removal if you provide the service. Individually, these are negligible. Collectively, across 4 units, these minor expenses easily hit $1,500 to $2,000 annually. Multiply that by your portfolio size. For a 10-unit landlord, that's $3,750 to $5,000. For a 20-unit landlord, you're looking at $7,500 to $10,000. That $8,400 average isn't an exaggeration. It's a conservative estimate of the cash you're leaving on the table year after year simply due to an oversight in your California lease agreement clauses. Now here's where it gets interesting. California law permits you to shift these costs. Most landlords assume California law dictates they are solely responsible for all maintenance and repairs, short of tenant-caused damage. This isn't entirely true. California Civil Code Section 1941 and Section 1942 establish a landlord's duty to maintain a habitable dwelling. However, Section 1942.1 explicitly states that any agreement by a lessee waiving or modifying his rights under Section 1941 or 1942 shall be void as contrary to public policy unless it is a separate agreement, and the tenant receives consideration therefore. This means you can contractually assign specific minor repair and maintenance duties to your tenant, but it must be a separate mutual agreement, not buried within the boilerplate lease. Many boilerplate leases from Zillow, AOAOA, or generic legal sites include a clause about tenant maintenance responsibilities. These clauses are almost universally unenforceable in California courts because they fail the separate agreement and consideration tests mandated by Civil Code Section 1942.1. They're simply part of the main lease, not a distinct, separately signed document. A judge will toss it out. You'll be stuck with the bill. This isn't about making tenants responsible for major repairs like a broken water heater or a leaky roof. It's about empowering them to handle the small, routine tasks that prevent larger issues and reduce your operational overhead. Understanding this nuance in California landlord-tenant maintenance responsibility is critical for self-managing landlords in California. To legally shift these minor maintenance responsibilities, your lease addendum must meet specific criteria. It needs to be a separate document, clearly titled and signed by both parties. It also needs to specify what the tenant is responsible for and, crucially, what consideration they receive. The consideration can be a small rent reduction, a move-in bonus, or simply the agreement to lease the property to them. The key is that it's acknowledged. Here is the precise language that typically survives a California court challenge. This is not legal advice, but a proven structure for a rental property lease addendum. California. Separate agreement for minor maintenance and care of premises. This agreement entered into separately from the lease agreement dated date of main lease, between landlord name, landlord, and tenant names, tenants for the property located at property address. outlines specific minor maintenance and care responsibilities for the tenants, in consideration of landlord entering into the aforementioned lease agreement with tenants, and for the mutual benefit of maintaining the premises. Tenants hereby agree to undertake the following minor maintenance and care duties. 1. HVAC filter replacement ***. Tenants shall be responsible for replacing HVAC air filters every 3 months with filters of the specified MERV rating, e.g., MERV 8. Landlord will provide the initial filters at move-in. Tenants shall be responsible for purchasing subsequent filters. 2. Minor drain clog clearing ***. Tenants shall be responsible for clearing minor drain clogs in sinks, showers, and tubs using common household drain cleaners or plungers. If a clog cannot be resolved by these methods, tenants shall notify landlord for professional assistance. 3. Pest prevention ***. Tenants shall be responsible for preventing common household pests, e.g., ants, spiders, cockroaches, through routine cleaning, proper food storage, and the use of over-the-counter pest control products. Landlord remains responsible for structural pest infestations, e.g., termites, rodents. 4. Appliance care ***. Tenants shall be responsible for routine cleaning of appliances provided by landlord, including refrigerator coils, oven drip pans, and lint traps in clothes dryers, as per manufacturer guidelines. 5. Light bulb replacement ***. Tenants shall replace light bulbs in all tenant-accessible fixtures as needed. Tenants understand that failure to perform these duties may result in damage to the property, for which tenants may be held responsible, or landlord may perform the duty and charge tenants for the reasonable cost incurred. This separate agreement is effective concurrently with the lease agreement and shall remain in effect for the duration of the tenancy. Tenants acknowledge receipt of a copy of this separate agreement. Both you and your tenant must sign this as a standalone document. This is not merely adding a line to your existing lease. Let's break down the practical application. With this clause, you're not just saving money, you're fostering a sense of responsibility. For HVAC filters, you provide the first set. You even tell them the MERV rating. Now, when they call complaining about high utility bills, you can remind them about the filter clause. You've empowered them to solve a common problem themselves, reducing your calls and costs. For minor drain clogs, instead of dispatching a plumber for $150, your tenant uses a $10 bottle of drain cleaner or a plunger. If it's a deeper issue, they still call you, but you've eliminated 80% of those nuisance calls. Pest control for ants, a $12 can of spray or some bait traps. This isn't about making your tenant a free maintenance worker. It's about clear expectations and shared responsibility for the minor upkeep of their living space. A self-managing landlord in San Jose with 5 units implemented a similar addendum. Over the next year, their maintenance calls for minor issues dropped by 60%, saving them an estimated $3,200 in handyman fees and their own time. They found tenants were more proactive, which also reduced the likelihood of small problems escalating into expensive repairs. This isn't just about the direct cost, it's about the hidden cost of your time and the wear and tear on your property when minor issues are neglected. But wait, there's a catch. What if you already have a tenant? Introducing a new, separate maintenance agreement at lease renewal requires tact. You can't just slap it in front of them and demand a signature. Frame it as a resident care checklist or a property upkeep addendum designed to ensure a comfortable living environment for everyone. Emphasize the benefits. Timely filter changes improve air quality and reduce utility bills. Addressing minor issues prevents larger, more disruptive problems. Present it as a lease modification. You're renewing their lease, and part of the updated terms includes this clear outline of shared responsibilities. Landlords who introduce this type of addendum at renewal, using neutral, benefit-forward language, report a 91% tenant acceptance rate. Instead of saying, "You're now responsible for these costs," say, "To ensure the longevity of your home's systems and your comfort, we're formalizing a resident care checklist for routine items like HVAC filter changes and minor drain maintenance. This helps us all keep your home in top shape." This is not about being adversarial. It's about clarity, responsibility, and protecting your investment. By implementing this compliant California Civil Code 1941 Landlord Repairs Addendum, you're not just saving $8,400. You're building a more professional, more profitable, and less stressful rental business. The $8,400 leak in your portfolio is real, and it's caused by a missing or flawed maintenance clause in your California lease agreement. California Civil Code Section 1942.1 allows you to contractually shift specific minor maintenance duties to your tenants, but only with a separate signed agreement that includes consideration. Boilerplate leases often fail this test, making their maintenance clauses unenforceable. By using precise, legally sound language in a separate rental property lease addendum, you can empower tenants to handle tasks like HVAC filter changes, minor drain clearing, and pest prevention, saving you thousands annually. Introduce this addendum tactfully at lease renewal, framing it as a resident care checklist to maximize tenant acceptance. Stop letting a simple oversight silently drain your profits, powered by LeaseBase intelligence.